Athens may be a small city, but it's known for its unique features. Like this, the Hocking-Adina Bikeway. Remove these large flat seeds before eating, as you can see here. The time to pick and eat pawpaws is limited to about a 3-week span during September. Originally from Columbus, Jane Cavarozzi said when she moved to Gloucester, she felt like she needed to support the community and voice her ideas on how to improve the town.
It's an excellent area. Their rides are going to be gorgeous. The roads are perfect motorcycle roads, and we couldn't ask for a better place.
Ilona's baby cousin, her reason for signing up for this run, passed away. Hartman was devastated. For some people, it was their first time voting. Ohio freshman Mel Sicrol voted at the First Presbyterian Church in Athens today. She says she's excited to vote in her first election and hopes more people her age voted as well.
After handing in a permission slip from their parents, Athens high school students walked out onto the high school football field for 17 minutes, demanding for stronger gun control legislation.
The student organization Renaissance Engineers from Ohio University is shining a light on the town of Chauncey. Today, these students at the local library are teaching children how to build their own flashlights. What is compost? Well, it starts with all the food scraps that aren't eaten. They are scraped off plates, and instead of being thrown away, they are separated from trash and recycling. Renaissance Engineers president, Evan Streeter, says they're in Chansey because these kids don't get the level of support as kids in Athens.
They don't get as much exposure to things such as engineering and math and science, and we were looking to give them that opportunity by taking the projects such as the Build Your Own Flashlight project to them to give them that exposure.
Chansey librarian Adrian Wolf says the library is always looking for more student volunteers like Renaissance Engineers to put on events at the library because they provide a safe and educational environment for children to attend to after school.
People, particularly university students, you know, they're in Athens, and that location is more convenient, is what they know. But there's all these other branches that need, you know, people to volunteer to come and be active or to get engaged with the students or whatever kids are here.
Athens City Schools Superintendent Tom Gibbs says about 60% of the students in Athens' school system live outside the Athens city limits. Gibbs says families like those in Chansey are living at or below the poverty line, making it difficult for parents to be with their kids once school is let out.
Typically, those families living outside of the city limits, we have more parents who work shift work or who work hourly jobs, where it's more difficult for them to get off work and to make it to school events or to be actively involved at school.
Gibbs says he would like to see more Ohio University students become mentors to the children who live in the Chansey area in order to provide the extra source of guidance, knowledge, and encouragement they need.
So I would encourage college students to get involved, and get involved not just with the schools right here and the children right here in the city of Athens, but those students who are out in the county and the families that are out in the county. And my best advice when you do interact with folks is just treat everyone you meet with dignity and kindness and respect, and I think you'll get the same in return.
In addition to exposing these rural students to more math and science, Ohio University students are also helping them build self-confidence and valuable life skills, despite their socioeconomic backgrounds and geographic locations. For WOUB, I'm Kaitlin Kulich.
Somewhere in between.
And creating Dirty Girl Coffee would help her do that.
In Southeast Ohio, they don't want somebody coming from Columbus and swooping and pooping and telling people what to do. So we decided to put a little skin in the game and open a business. And we thought coffee was a perfect venue.
Cavarosi now uses her platform as a business owner to help her community. She sells her coffee at local farmers markets and festivals.
We've been working on some initiatives like this local festival that we're supporting to bring attention to Gloucester, Ohio. We're based in Gloucester, Ohio, and we want to try to improve the town in terms of bringing entrepreneurs here, seeing some improvements in just the physical space, and we're working on a park project and things like that.
It was important for Cavarosi to not only provide Gloucester with a local coffee business, but have that coffee be sustainably shade-grown and harvested by women.
So all of our Peru, our Guatemala, our Sumatra, our Mexican Altura, those are all from women-managed operations supporting pay equity in those regions. And we just feel that it helps us sleep at night, and it's just consistent with our ethics as a brand.
Cavarosi also uses Dirty Girl to support women in Appalachia, Ohio. According to her, women in Athens, Ohio make 62% of what men make. By providing quality skill-building jobs, Cavarosi hopes to shrink that wage gap. And Mary Rose Littler, an employee at Dirty Girl, says she is thankful that Cavarosi is taking on this challenge.
It was really exciting that I could find a company that is not only roasting beans, something I'm really passionate about learning, but also supporting women in my community.
Littler says Cavarosi is teaching her how to profile roasts using their equipment. Cavarosi says the flavor of their beans is just as important as how they are grown and who they are grown by.
We'll roast that coffee and we'll pull samples at varying temperatures and we'll taste it along the way. And along that journey, we try to find that sweet spot in that coffee that really pulls out the strength of whatever bean that is.
And that's just what Dirty Girl Coffee is doing in Gloucester, recognizing it's a sweet spot and pulling the strength of its people together to build a vibrant community in Gloucester once again. Midterm election polls close in less than an hour, and Ohio will soon have a new governor. Plus, one 97-year-old woman may have a record for elections. And in sports, an Ohio player is on a watch list for National Performer of the Year. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
People are waiting in lines across the country for the polls. Many have spoken out about the importance of voting. It's the midway point of President Donald Trump's 4-year term, and control for our Congress is up for grabs. Tonight's results will show if a majority of Americans are leaning left or right. Good evening. I'm Kaitlin Kulich. Thanks for joining us.
Well, no matter where you're from, if you can vote, if you have a voice, then it matters that you use it.
Kroll says she is planning on voting again in the primary election. And Kroll wasn't the only excited first-time voter.
I was really nervous, but it felt really good because I've been waiting for it for a really long time, and I just feel really important. I feel like I did something good today.
And polls close in less than an hour here in Ohio. And some Ohio candidates made sure to show up to the polls. Republican nominee for governor Mike DeWine voted in Cedarville. Turnout is key for the governor race. DeWine faces Democrat Richard Cordray. Polls show the two statistically tied.
Governor's races are always about the future. It's who's going to lead the state. And after the polls close and all the commercials are off, ultimately the next governor's got to pull people together. And The problems that we face in Ohio are Ohio problems. We're all Ohioans.
The 71-year-old DeWine has relied on his long record of public service as a former lieutenant governor, congressman, and U.S. senator. The 59-year-old Cordray touts his record leading the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He's also a former state treasurer and an attorney general. Ohioans in Dayton jail will be allowed to vote today. A judge granted a temporary restraining order that allows them to cast ballots. This allows 2 people being housed in a Montgomery County jail to vote. However, a class action lawsuit on behalf of all jail voters in the same situation remains under consideration. And some students did not let school stop them from going to the polls. More than 25 youth-led activist groups joined together to launch the Walk Out to Vote campaign. The campaign encouraged students to leave school to cast their ballots. Young people at more than 500 high schools and colleges plan to participate in the effort. There are hundreds of House races, 35 Senate races, and governor's races in 36 states. But most Americans will have the man who is not on the ballot today, President Trump, on their mind. Corinne Kafia is in Washington with a look at the big picture.
American voters getting a chance to show how they feel about the Trump presidency and GOP control of Congress.
I'm hoping that people see what's going on and that they really take the time to come out and vote.
President Trump's final push before Election Day came in Missouri on Monday, predicting he'll get blamed for Republican losses and no credit for GOP success.
If we don't do so well tomorrow, they will put me on the ticket. If we do great tomorrow, they will say he had nothing to do with it.
Like the rest of the country, the president waits and watches today as Americans decide whether Republicans will hold both chambers on Capitol Hill or Democrats grab a share of the power. While congressional Republicans wanted to make their case around the economy, President Trump zeroed in on immigration, a move that could prove harmful to GOP candidates in suburban districts in places like Virginia, Pennsylvania, and California, trying to attract moderates and independents. Democrats made their case around health care and character.
Our leader with the biggest megaphone in the world is engaging in conduct unbecoming a president. It is beneath the office of the presidency.
In addition to 435 House races and 35 Senate races, 36 governor's mansions are up for grabs today, too, with Republicans on defense in 26 of those states. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Tonight, you can get local, regional, and national election results on all of WOUB Public Media's platforms. There will be a Facebook Live update starting at 8 p.m. and information throughout the night on Twitter and Instagram at WOUB Visual and Outlet. On TV, PBS will provide full primetime election coverage, and NPR will be on the radio, both starting at 8 p.m.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. It may have been a little bit windy out there today, but it felt pretty nice and one of those last days for temperatures in the 60s before we cool down later on in the week. Right now it is 56 degrees and clear. Some high pressure moved into the region today, bringing some drier conditions, so it will remain clear throughout the rest of the evening. Around the region, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-50s, 52 in Newark, 55 in Cambridge, 56 in Athens, 52 over in Columbus, and 55 in Chillicothe. And as we look at the night tonight, we're not going to see the temperatures drop that much, just into the mid and lower 40s. So it's going to be a nice night throughout, and it will remain mostly clear throughout the remainder of the night tonight. But we do have some rain chances later on this week, so make sure you stay tuned for your full 7-day forecast later on in the show.
All right, thank you, Taylor. There's an update in an investigation of a dead body found in Galapagos Township wooded area. The Gallia County Sheriff's Office identified the person as Miranda Thompson. Police found the deceased individual this past Sunday. Thompson had previously been reported as a missing person. No further details are available at this time. A lawsuit against Kent State and its former softball coach will not be going forward. A federal judge dismissed a lawsuit claiming the university mishandled allegations a woman made against the coach's son. Keisterson claims she told Linder in 2014 about the rape from December 2012 and that Linder failed to tell the university. Linder's son was never arrested or charged. An 11-year-old boy led Cleveland police on a high-speed chase after taking his mom's car Sunday night. But as Scott Knoll reports, it wasn't the first time.
Police spotted the SUV just before 11 last night.
All right, that vehicle's running on me.
Within seconds, the chase is on. The driver running red lights, shutting his off, and speeding through town.
Pulling away from me, I'm doing 75.
What no one realized, the driver, just 11 years old. Investigators say he took his mom's car after she went to bed. A joyride with a crashing end. Cops say the boy, who was no longer being chased, wasn't paying attention and slammed into a parked pickup in Cleveland about 20 minutes later. The 11-year-old treated, then released from the hospital. That's when investigators got another surprise. The boy's parents say he's the same kid who led troopers on this 50-mile chase along the turnpike last October, just days after taking his mom's car and leaving it with flat tires on I-90. That time his dad said his son did it thinking it was a joke and that nothing would happen to him. His mom told investigators he was charged for taking the car, but the case was dropped after the boy wasn't competent to stand trial.
Police say this time around the boy will face felony charges in juvenile court. And a bunch of people were driving around with buses this weekend. In West Virginia, Kanawha County Schools held its annual rodeo for bus drivers Monday morning. Drivers competed in multiple challenges, including pre-trip inspection, handling a railroad crossing, and getting kids on the bus, and other skills.
Stuff we're faced with every day, different obstacles, but it's set up to really challenge the driver, to challenge your abilities as a driver.
The winners were recognized at the end of the event, and drivers who qualified will go on to compete in the state competition next summer. Coming up next, one hotel chain is paying millions after giving guest information to the government. Plus, officials say honor the body of the Utah mayor who died in Afghanistan. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
This is what we've all been waiting for. The postseason is finally here. Many teams that made it this far are ready to rock.
Yeah, it's win or go home for the guys on the gridiron, but Gridiron Glory still has a few more weeks before we end our season.
Yeah, we'll have you covered through week 13, and there's still football to be played until then.
Our social media team will have you covered. Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube content will keep you up to date.
So, through all the excitement, remember there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, through stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
The body of Major Brent Taylor, who was fatally shot while serving with the National Guard in Afghanistan, is now in the U.S. And according to his wife, who spoke shortly after the dignified transfer ceremony, Taylor championed democracy. She said it was fitting that his body was returned to the U.S. on Election Day. Omar Jimenez has this report.
A somber start to an election Tuesday for the family of Major Brent Taylor, the Utah mayor who temporarily stepped down from his position to deploy overseas with the National Guard. He was killed in Afghanistan on Saturday, just a few months before finishing his tour.
The price of freedom surely feels incredibly high to all those of us who know and love our individual soldier. But the value of freedom is immeasurable to all who know and love America.
In his final post on Facebook, Major Taylor wrote about the importance of voting and said, quote, "It was beautiful to see over 4 million Afghan men and women brave threats and deadly attacks to vote in Afghanistan's first parliamentary elections in 8 years."
He was doing what he loved, serving a country he loved.
One Afghan pilot who served with Taylor wrote his wife Jenny a letter saying he died on our soil, but he died for the success of freedom and democracy in both of our countries. And now, Brent Taylor's return to American soil comes perhaps at a fitting time, on an election day when his final wish is maybe truer than ever.
He implored of us all. I hope everyone back home exercises their precious right to vote. I hope that we all remember that we have far more as Americans that unites us than that divides us. May God forever bless America.
In Washington, I'm Omar Jimenez.
The hotel chain Motel 6 is paying $7.6 million to settle a lawsuit after it gave guest lists to immigrant authorities. Sharing these lists led to an unknown number of arrests and deportations. Along with paying guests, Motel 6 is also agreeing to have tighter controls over its guests' private information. Motel 6 acknowledges the guest lists were given to authorities but denies upper management was aware. The hotel franchise says it accepts full responsibility for compensating those who were harmed. Coming up on Newswatch, one woman who has not missed an election in nearly 80 years. That story still ahead.
And with temperatures cooling down, we may even see a chance for some snow this week. Stay tuned for all the details in your 7-day forecast. But first, let's take a look at your stocks of local interest.
Is member-supported public television. WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
I love PBS because at the heart of everything PBS does is education.
I use PBS not only in my home, but also in my classroom.
It's kind of the idea of being the great equalizer for learning and for education.
I'm a lifelong learner, and PBS has always been part of that journey for me.
I love PBS because PBS supports teachers.
They know what works for kids and what's best for kids, and that's why I love PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Good evening. What a beautiful day today in Athens. If you had to wait outside in lines to go vote, no problem because it was feeling pretty nice. We had temperatures in the 60s. Some of the last warmer temperatures we're going to see before things start to cool down a little bit later on in the week. But right now it's pretty nice, 56 degrees, a clear evening throughout the rest of the evening tonight, and it's pretty breezy right now with winds out of the west-southwest at 11 miles per hour. Around the region, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-50s, 55 in Chillicothe, 56 in Jackson, and 52 over in Columbus. Now, if we look at the almanac for today, we're just a little bit above average for the high and the low. High of 62 and a low of 41 today. 57 being the normal and 35 as the average low. And looking at our record temperatures, 1948 a record high of 78 degrees, and 1991 11 degrees. Now, as we can see for our sunset, we're seeing the sunset a lot earlier because of daylight savings this past weekend, so you may notice it's starting to get darker a lot earlier, and that's something to keep in mind if you're doing anything outside. Now, as we look at tonight, we're not going to see the temperatures drop too much, just down into the lower 40s. By 5 a.m. it'll be 42 degrees and mostly clear. It'll be clear throughout the night tonight, so it's a nice night throughout the rest of the evening and into tomorrow morning. At your bus stop forecast, make sure the kids have a sweatshirt if they're heading off to school, because it's going to be a cooler start than we've been seeing the past couple of days. 43 degrees in the morning and partly cloudy. Calm and cool start. Winds at 3 miles per hour, so it'll feel pretty nice out there. Now, if we look at the precipcast, no precip here, at least for the next couple of days. We should be good to go. However, we do have this nice cold front moving in that's going to cool things down just a little bit, and some high pressure that's coming into the region, drying things out a bit for the next couple of days. And as you can see, tomorrow we're dry as well, with some high pressure remaining tomorrow. Now, if we look at your day planner for tomorrow, it's going to be a pretty nice day tomorrow. Temperatures reaching the 50s. Around lunchtime, it'll be 52 degrees and cloudy. And on your way home from work, it'll still be 52 degrees. So it's a pretty nice day, but you definitely may need to bring the jacket with you. Now, looking at this weekend, we do have some rain on Friday. So keep that in mind if you do have any outdoor plans. Early on Friday and some scattered showers throughout the afternoon. But we should be cleared out for the evening with precip. However, it's going to be cold. We're going to see temperatures in the 30s and upper 20s. So make sure you get those winter coats out, because you're going to start needing them pretty soon here. As we look at our 7-day forecast, we can see this dreaded polar plunge coming. We're seeing temperatures in the 20s and 30s. We're not ready for it yet. However, Saturday and Sunday will be nice after we get through that rain on Friday. It's going to be clear at least. Now, if we look at Tuesday, now I don't know if you can believe it quite yet. It's going to snow on Tuesday, so make sure you are prepared, and I don't know if you're ready for it quite yet.
All right, Taylor, looks like I'm going to have to find my winter jacket pretty soon. A New Jersey election poll worker will turn 98 years young next month and hasn't missed an election in nearly 80 years. Brian Donahue introduces us to the woman who has no excuses for not showing up to vote.
Hello, how are you today?
At 97 years old, Laura Wooten is still on the job at this dining hall at Princeton University, checking student IDs on the Monday lunch shift. But on Tuesday, Election Day, she's taking a day off to work her other job as a poll worker for the 79th straight year. Wooten hasn't missed an election, working first as a challenger, then as a county poll worker, since Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president, including last year when her brother died the day before Election Day and she was unable to get a ride to the polls, so she walked. It may be the longest streak of any poll worker anywhere in the nation. She does it for one simple reason, because she believes in the importance of voting.
Because I think voting is very important. Because if it wasn't for voting, a lot of things would still be the same.
Wooten grew up in Princeton when it was what she calls a southern northern town, with segregated schools, hospitals, and theaters.
Then we had one black doctor, which could put you in the hospital, but it could come see you.
It was the ballot box, she says, that was the key to changing all that. So on Election Day, just as she has every year since 1939, she'll be out there helping make sure it works.
And a lot of us will not vote. As they said, their vote doesn't count, but how can it count if they don't vote? You know, that's the only way you're going to get changes made. And I've seen a lot of changes, but there's still a lot need to be made.
And if you're thinking of not voting, she has this to say.
There's no excuse. Voting is your voice. So use it.
Wooten planned to get up at 4 a.m. Tuesday and work the polls at the firehouse near her home in Lawrence Township. She says she will work until the polls close and be back on the job at Princeton Wednesday morning.
Hi, I'm Brian Kerp. Coming up in sports, the Ohio men's and women's basketball seasons begin this week. Hear from head coaches Saul Phillips and Bob Bolden later on. And right after the break, Ohio quarterback Nathan Rourke was named to a national awards watch list. Find out which one next on Newswatch. and stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
This is what we've all been waiting for. The postseason is finally here. Many teams that made it this far are ready to rock.
Yeah, it's win or go home for the guys on the gridiron, but Gridiron Glory still has a few more weeks before we end our season.
Yeah, we'll have you covered through week 13, and there's still football to be played until then.
Our social media team will have you covered. Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube content will keep you up to date.
So, through all the excitement, remember there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Brian Kerp. Ohio football's quarterback Nathan Rourke was named to the 2018 Midseason National Performer of the Year Trophy watch list. Rourke is one of 32 players from the FBS to be named to the list, and he is one of only 2 players from the Mid-American Conference. Through 9 games this season, Rourke has completed 63% of his passes for 1,769 yards and 17 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions. Rourke also leads the team in rushing with 637 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. With only 3 games remaining, the Bobcats travel to Oxford tomorrow night to face Miami Redhawks in the Battle of the Bricks. Head coach Frank Solch discusses the importance of conference games.
As you know, every game is important, and when you get in the MAC, it seems like if you lose one, man, you're fighting from behind right away, you know, and so it's a tough conference in that regard. And I think in particular this year there's a lot of really good football teams in the MAC. So that makes everything even a little bit more difficult.
Even though it may not feel like it, basketball season is back. The Ohio men's basketball team opens up their regular season tomorrow as they welcome Wilberforce to the Convo. Head coach Saul Phillips discusses his overall impressions of his team as they begin their season.
I like our depth. I think our athleticism in the backcourt has improved. We're much more physical presence on the glass than we were able to be last year with some of our limitations, injury-wise. I like us. I do. Now, again, you want to be careful not to overreact to an exhibition game, and you want to be careful not to overreact to anything so early in the season. But, you know, they checked off a lot of boxes as far as what you want to do well. They took care of the ball. We shot it at high percentage.
The Ohio women's team starts a regular season on Sunday as they host UNC Wilmington at 1 p.m. Bobcats head coach Bob Bolden talks about what his team needs to improve upon before Sunday's game.
I thought we did some nice things, and we weren't able to maintain that level of intensity that we needed to for 40 minutes, and we've worked on that a little bit. You know, rebounding needs to get better, and we'll continue to work on that. But mostly just being consistent and playing the same way for 40 minutes.
Now on to the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in search of their second win of the season last night when they visited the Orlando Magic. We pick things up in the final minute. Cavs up 1. Kyle Korver gets the ball and then he turns it over Evan Fournier is fouled on the play. He hits the first free throw, but he misses the second, and we are tied at 100. Now with 1.8 seconds left, the inbound to Fournier, a long two, and he drains it. Magic defeat the Cavs at the buzzer, 102-100. Cleveland falls to 1-9 on the season. I'm Brian Kerp, and that's it for sports. Over to you, Taylor.
All right, thanks, Brian. Let's just take one last look at our weather for this weekend. Now, we do have some rain coming our way on Friday. That's going to start early on Friday and continue throughout the afternoon. We'll have some scattered showers, up to a 1/4 inch of rain, so make sure you have your umbrella if you're doing anything outside Friday. Now, your evening should be all right. It will be cloudy and cold, however. We'll see temperatures in the freezing, lower 30s and upper 20s on Friday evening. Now, taking a look at our extended forecast, we're going to see our temperatures drop significantly in the next couple of days. Now, we can even see Saturday and Sunday will be clear after our rain on Friday. Now, however, it will still remain cold early next week, but we're going to see some chances of snow on Tuesday. Can you believe it? The chances of snow are already here. Make sure you've got your winter coat out because it looks like we're going to be needing it sooner than you might have thought.
All right, Taylor, thank you. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Kaitlin Kulich. And remember, tonight you can get local, regional, and national election results on all of our WOUB Public Media's platforms. There will be a Facebook Live update starting at 8 p.m. and information throughout the night on Twitter and Instagram at WOUB Visual and Outlet. On TV, PBS will provide full primetime election coverage and NPR will be on the radio, both starting at 8 p.m. Have a great night.
Thousands of students, including some in Athens County, walked out of class today. An amendment calling for an all-out legalization of marijuana on the ballot is not likely.
And in sports, the Blue Jackets lost to Washington, ties the playoff series at 2. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Students at Athens High School joined the nationwide walk out to advocate for stricter gun policies. Good evening, I'm Steven Hernandez. Thanks for joining us. Students across the country walked out of classes today to honor the 20th anniversary of the Columbine school shooting. Newswatch reporter Kaitlin Kulich is live at Athens Middle School to tell us how Athens students participated in the nationwide protest.
The 17 minutes were in honor of the 17 people killed at Parkland High School last month. Some also wore orange bands in remembrance of the Columbine shooting that happened 20 years ago. Athens High School sophomore Micah Rittenbarger says after speaking to the vice principal, Chad Springer, they created a committee of student leaders to help plan and lead this walkout. Rittenbarger says the goal of today's walkout was to promote moderate gun control.
What we want is moderate gun policy. As we said in our speech, we don't want to take anyone's guns away. We just want to help prevent more school shootings because we are scared and our teachers are scared and we want to stop that fear as much as we can.
Rittenbarger says the group of student leaders will continue to have weekly meetings in order to maintain the conversation and activism about gun legislation. Reporting live for Newswatch, I'm Kaitlin Kulich.